So here we have our blank. Now we call it a blank, and the wires are on, and it's dried at least 2 days. And now our first task is to tighten the wires. So we have it on a mandrel. I put it on the mandrel so it just tugs. I don't shove it on there really long. And then as before, we're going to pull and tighten the wires. I usually do the bottom one first. This is the one that needs to be the most tight. And after I get that on there, then I test it by taking it off there and see if it'll move. And it moves a little bit. So again, I don't put this on tight, just down enough. And then I'm going to tighten it again. And again, take it off to see if it's, yeah, so it's not moving with any force there. I don't do significant force. Now these other ones, I just want to tighten until they're snug around here. And they don't have to be super tight, but we just want the wire touching the cane all the way around. And this is pretty good. Notice now on the sides are closed. And so hopefully we'll have a seal, a reed that seals. Again, check this wire. We're good shape. Okay, now I'm going to cut the ends of these because they're longer now and we don't need that much wire. So we're going to just cut them off. And then to protect fingers, I file these down. I use the bottom of my file because I don't use that part very often. Okay, you can see this. I'm going to just squeeze that together. Okay, the wires look good. Now the next job is to make the collar. So we have now some bassoonists don't make a collar. Most do, it seems. But I just want to make a little distance between this wire and what we're going to say is the reed surface. I take my razor blade. You can also do this with a straight knife of some kind. And then I gently go over there so I have a mark on that side. And I do the same thing over here. And then I connect these so we have this collar that goes at the base of the blade. That's a good way to call it. The part that vibrates and we put in our mouth is the blade. So the reed blade. I have never done this too much, so you don't have to worry about going through it very much. And then I also like to use my this knife. This is one that, you know, it's disposable and you can just break it off. That's one reason I like the razor blades and this knife, because I don't have to sharpen them. I have another knife that I use for finishing reeds, and I have to sharpen that one. So these blades, of course, are disposable. as well as the razor blade. I notice the other thing I like about the razor blade is I feel like I can feel the cut in here better. But you don't have to worry about going too deep because you're cutting through this bark, so it's pretty hefty back there. Okay, now we're going to make the collar, and I just sort of try to extend this down the side, sort of extend the blade, and I go down like that. I do the same thing on the other side. And that kind of flakes off. If for some reason it wouldn't come off, then I would cut a little bit more right here. Okay, then we do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, like here, that one's not flaking off, so I'm just gonna cut a little bit and it'll come off. See? So I take my file and I just kind of clean this up a little bit, smoothing out any bumps. Yeah, and this kind of motion around the tip is we want to kind of we're trying to take material off around here and not touch the middle of the reed very much. The middle we call the spine, and that is the quickest way to ruin a reed, is to file down or cut down the spine. So we want to stay away from the middle of the reed. We do the same thing on the other side. Notice I keep my file angled, so I'm not cutting directly on that spine, just kind of going around it. But at the tip, it does get very thin, and so sort of the last third of the blade here, it's gonna thin out a lot more. Okay, so that's our first part. We've made the collar and we've started sanding it down and we've tightened the wires. Okay, so now we're going to put the thread on the reed blank, and we put a little thread down there by that first wire and then fold this wire up so it holds the string, but it's not, you can easily pull it out of there, so it just barely holds it there, but that's the best you can do. And then I'm going to take our Duco cement. Oh, I should mention here, I number my reeds. I use an engraver tool and put pencil graphite in there, and so I can keep track of the reeds, but that's not required. Okay, so we put Duco cement around this, around the wire, and then go over here, and then I go up the side and back here, kind of trying to cover all the places that it might leak, and also to secure the thread in place. I also cover up my engraver mark to help keep that in place. Okay, we can cap up the Duco cement for now. Then what we do is, without pulling that thread out, we start wrapping around the wire here and kind of spreading it out. I can go underneath that wire there. And we just keep going for a while. We're trying to produce a ball. We call it a ball around here. And just kind of go and when it's a pretty good size, then we can stop. And then what I do is, where that wire was, I get to the top there, and then I angle it down, and then I come up on the opposite side like this, and paralleling where I went down before, I go next to that, and then paralleling so they call this, I think they call it, looks like a turban, I've heard. So anyhow, we just keep going on like this, up and down, paralleling it, and it'll start crossing over what you've done before, so it kind of makes a nice pattern in there. Okay, then when I feel like I've done that enough, that it looks good, then I just start going around the bottom here a few times. And then I'm going to go up in a place where I've gone up before, paralleling that. Just kind of looks nice. And then I'm going to go around this side, and I keep going, circling up there. Until we get very close to this wire. Doesn't actually have to touch the wire. That's pretty good. So then after I've got that, then I'm going to cut the wire off, or not the wire, this thread off. And then now I'm going to unwind it. So you have to figure out a way to secure this string besides the Duco cement. And so this is the way I do it. There's other ways people do it, but I take that thread and I hold it in my teeth. And then I have this piece of a loop. And then I wrap over that. Make sure my loop, which this is a turquoise loop, we don't want to get it hooked on that wire, so you got to be careful of that. And I go all the way back up where I was before. And then I just need to put that through here, but I'm going to make sure it's not going to hook on that wire. put it through there, and then I can pull both, see both strings there, both threads. Pull it in, pull it back, and then finally I just pull it through like that. So that will hold it in place. Then I make a little opening there, and so I'm going to cut that thread off right on the wood. You want to be careful not to cut anything else. And then I just move this back down. Now it's good to have a little space between the thread and that second wire, so it doesn't, we're going to put Duco cement now over this whole thing, and we don't need a lot on that wire, but the next stage will actually break that wire through. But it's good if there's a little space, it makes it easier to break that wire through. So now I'm going to just put Duco cement on here. Some people use clear fingernail polish for this, but I don't think that's strong enough. Duco cement works well because it's strong enough but not too strong. Okay, and then I usually blow on it a few seconds. Otherwise it kind of can drip down, but it sets up pretty quickly. And then we put it in the drying rack.